Hey everyone, this is Chance from Vital Revive, and I'm testing out a new microphone. Okay, so hopefully this works better. You guys can understand me. It sounds like I'm losing my voice a little bit. I'm not getting sick or anything, but for some reason it sounded weird. Okay, so the title of this video is How the Bleep Do We Energy Blend? Okay, and I'm going to be going into that a little bit so that you guys can understand what I'm talking about. So when I'm talking about blending, I'm talking about connecting with the spirit world and being able to receive messages. Again, I'm still in training, I'm still working through this, and I'll go through some stuff that I've been through personally, and we can go from there. But ultimately, when we're looking at blending and mediumship, we're definitely looking at where there's kind of a cohesion or a combination of forces coming together. And what that means is that we're able to sort of, if you want to imagine like an antenna, right? So if we're focusing, we have this antenna that goes up and it's broadcasting a signal, okay? The more that we can get into a state, almost it can be a trance or a light trance or whatever it happens to be, but the more we can get into this relaxed state, the stronger the signal can become. But it's not just about that. Blending energy isn't just about being in a relaxed state, because if so, meditation, we'd be getting channeled messages all the time, which we do in different ways when we meditate, but we're not connecting directly to the spirit world, usually. Okay, so, and generally when we're connecting to the spirit world, there's like a rush and a sense of pure joy or enlightenment, and there's these tingles, and it's like this sense of like, you're connected. Okay, because your body's tingling, your mood is incredibly uplifted. If it's a more positive spirit. If it's like your guides you're talking to, you're talking about that kind of energy where it's very powerful. It's very, very exhilarating would be the word to describe it. So that's what happens when we're talking about connecting with a guide. Okay, we're still talking about that process of connecting, but when it's with a guide, it's definitely going to be more exhilarating. When it's with a person that has passed on, we're definitely talking about energy that's going to feel different. How the person was when they were alive is going to be how we receive them after they've gone. So, for instance, and I don't know if I've told you guys this story, but I was asking for a sign from someone I was doing a mediumship reading with. The person didn't pay me. Again, I'm practicing. This isn't something that it's like, okay, well, pay me money, because I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. I'm learning, okay? So I was just kind of testing my wings, getting used to everything. And so I'm getting messages from her son that had passed on. And this was interesting. So I'm getting messages, and, I feel like I'm connecting with him. I feel like we got a name. So I think I got the first letter of his name, which was an S. His name was Stephen. And I was definitely connecting with him, but I was asking for a sign that was beyond a doubt him, right? I was asking for a sign that was evidence beyond a doubt. And I'm not even joking, okay? This is something that's very serious, very real, and something I'll remember, So I asked for a sign, and I smelled a fart, okay? And it wasn't me, okay? It wasn't me, but I smelled a fart, and I thought about it for a long time. I thought about it for such a long time. Should I tell her that I smelled a fart? Should I tell her that? And I did. I said, you know what? I smelled a fart. And she laughed. She thought that was the funniest thing, because he was a joker and he would do that all the time. And it seemed embarrassing at the time to talk about it. But by giving her that message, it gave her a sense of closure, and it gave her a sense of like, oh, okay, so he is still alive in the other world, I guess is what we could call it. But he is still alive. He's still himself. He's still vibrant. Okay, and so that was a funny story, and something where when you're getting messages and you're really getting them, don't hold anything back. Even if it doesn't make sense to you, it might make sense to the other person. More than likely, and even if it doesn't make sense to them now, it could make sense to them later, okay? But, so we're talking about blending. We need to enter a state of meditation, And when we can clear our mind, then we can start to channel these energies. So, and I can feel there's a spirit around me right now, right here. Okay, and what happens is when you're starting to put out an energy, you become like a lighthouse or a beacon. Okay, similar spirits or entities that are vibrating with the energy you're putting out will come to you. And this can be a very, very good thing. And it can also be a way that we can watch ourselves and our thoughts. If at any point we're ever feeling uncomfortable or we're ever feeling anything other than peace and joy when we do this work, we can ask for our guides to come step in, and that will definitely take away whatever presence is there. When you're doing this kind of work, you're afforded kind of extra protection. You're more in line with the universe, and so you get like extra protection, spiritual bodyguards, so to speak. So you get into a meditative state, and when we do a meditative state, we close our eyes, we relax our minds. And now that I've got a new kind of setup here for the sound, I actually will do a meditation video, and it'll be a real one, okay? And we won't be doing blending, but we will be doing kind of relaxation exercises and focusing on just following the breath. Okay, I think that'll be good. But primarily speaking, when we're blending, we're taking in energy from the earth, and we're taking in energy from the cosmic, the universe, however you want to call it. We're taking in energy from the earth and from the cosmic, and we're trying to meet in the heart, okay, the heart chakra. And what we're doing is we're going from the 3 chakras, from the crown, the third eye, the throat, to the heart, and then from the root, the sacral, the solar plexus, to the heart. Okay, and when we take those 2 energies and we combine them, I want you to think of it kind of like it's making a circuit. And the way that we activate this circuit is we visualize, and when we visualize, we're actually moving energy. Because the way it works in quantum physics is that when we focus on something, the things that we're focusing on actually change. The observer changes the reality. And you can look at this with a bunch of different experiments. That's for another video, but basically they were, again, okay, that's for another video. I don't want to get off track. But the observer does change reality, okay? And so when we're visualizing on our senses, on our body, on things happening within us or in our energy field, we're actually visualizing those, and it's actually happening. And so when we do that, we're connecting the breath, we're connecting the energy coming up. We start to connect, we make a circuit. As soon as we start making this circuit, we're open for communication. Something's going to happen though, okay? It's not as simple as establishing the link for communication, because when a spirit comes up to you, they put their hands on you, so to speak. They don't really have hands. When a spirit comes close, let's just do that. When a spirit comes close and you can feel their energy, you can feel their presence, you'll definitely know when you're feeling it. It's goosebumps. It's, like I said, it's exhilarating depending on the spirit, right? But it's definitely this feeling of it's kind of like your body is eating mints, or like your body just brushed its teeth. Like if your body, that clean, minty feeling, it's like a minty feeling on your body. That's the best way I can describe it. And it's powerful, and it's incredible, and it's a very sacred thing. Generally for me, I tear up, and there's a lot of emotional expression that goes on. It's different for every person, but generally there's a sense of healing that way, and that's definitely something that is a powerful part of the process. But once the spirit starts connecting with us, it's going to start draining us. It's going to start kind of taking energy from us. So it's an exhilarating session during, but afterwards we could feel tired or even lethargic, and it's not because the spirit was bad or because anything happened that way. It's because we're getting used to, we're building up the power, is what it's called. And when we're building up the power and we're putting it someplace else, we're taking a lot of energy and we're moving it. Eventually it doesn't take as much to do that, to build it up and to move it. You can have sessions with mediums that last an hour, 2 hours. Me personally, the best I've ever done with connecting with the spirit strongly was about 45 seconds. So it's not the easiest thing to do. You'll actually feel yourself rise and fall and rise and fall. And it becomes easier with time, when you strengthen this, it does become easier. But at first, going into this, don't expect to be a marathon runner and be like, okay, I got to be able to do this for an hour the first time, because that's not what it's about. Okay, it's about giving yourself time to learn. You wouldn't expect to learn the piano in one day, and you can't expect to learn this in one day, because there's caveats to it. There's mysteries within ourselves that we have to solve, and there's different mirrors and pathways that we have to find in ourselves. And Spirit will show that through mediumship, especially. It's a road that I feel like you have to be somewhat crazy to go on sometimes. It's a road that is something where you have to be willing to put it all on the line. And that's why I took a step back, and that's why I'm coming back and I'm doing these videos now, because I want to talk about how I'm feeling. I want to talk about this because it's difficult. It can be a difficult path, and it's not something to be taken lightly. If you're doing this for any other reason other than to help people, then you're doing it for the wrong reason. You have to do this to help people first, because it's not about the messenger, it's about the messages. Okay, it's not about us. We're a conduit. Okay, the best way I can summarize it is, if you're going out to eat at a fancy restaurant, or any restaurant really, the person that pours the water, you're grateful that they poured the water, but the actual water itself is what your body needs, right? And the person that poured the water, you're probably not going to remember. And the way that a medium works, it kind of has to be the same thing. You're pouring water and you're receiving messages and you're giving them out, but ultimately that's all you are. Is you're a vessel, you're a container that holds that energy, that frequency, so that there can be a communication. And then when you drop the link, there needs to be a humbleness, there needs to be a gratefulness to connecting. And that, to me, is what this work is all about. I try not to look at it in any other way other than the way I look at it when it comes to like logical thinking. And I feel like there's a lot of great people out there, but my message that I want to teach is I want to do more grounded work, but I also want to do more spiritual work too. So I feel like I'm a good teacher in those senses, right? My astrological signs basically are nothing but earth and air. I don't have any fire, and I have 1 degree in Pisces in my chart. Like in my whole chart, it's basically just earth and air. It's every earth and air sign, but it's basically just earth and air. So I feel like I can give a grounded sense of something, and then we can kind of go up from there. And so that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help you guys build the house so that we can, so that there can be a community too. And talking about your successes or your blunders is kind of the whole point of doing this, at least for me. If I fail, I can talk about it. If I succeed, I can talk about it. But you guys can come along for the ride, and you guys can be there for those moments. And that's something I don't think anyone else has really done. And I think when we're talking about the path to becoming a medium, or a psychic, a spiritual advisor, an energy healer, a tarot card reader, a dream interpreter, whatever it happens to, past life regression. I mean, the list goes on and on. Just like someone can paint a bunch of different paintings, there's so many spiritual occupations that you can go into, and it's just what your soul feels called to do. But ultimately, to me, and maybe I got a little bit off track, I'm still trying to get the hang of this. So, but when we're blending energy, that's what we're focusing on, is the cosmic and the ground. When we do that, there's a sense of unity. When there's a sense of unity, we take that energy, and I want you to imagine it like your aura is broadcasting a signal, like there's a signal that's being broadcast. A spirit feels that signal, they can kind of reach out. And when they do that, it creates a connection with the spirit world. When we create a connection with the spirit world, communication becomes a lot easier. And it's about subtle energetic influences. So if I'm doing a reading, for instance, I might feel the spirits here. I might feel that their hands are on my back, and I might feel that maybe they passed with a head injury, or maybe they did something along those lines, and that goes into the psychic senses. And there's quite a few psychic senses, but most of them mirror the physical senses eyes, ears, smell, taste, touch. And when we're focusing on that, it's definitely something where everyone is going to be different. A lot of people see clairvoyant images. A lot of people hear clairaudient sounds. And a lot of people just know. And generally, for me personally, it's clairvoyance and it's claircognizance, which is just knowing. And it's like you don't know how you know the knowledge, but you know the knowledge. And that is something that's incredibly profound and interesting, that the universe is putting in information. Being able to find out the street someone died on, being able to know how the person died, being able to, in certain instances, taste blood in your mouth when certain things happen, being able to, one person had cancer and they passed away from that, and the way that I knew that they had cancer was like there was a rotten taste in my mouth. And that was profound. It was interesting, and it sounds a lot worse than it is, because again, it's like you're the vessel, you're the conduit, right? Like if you have water and you put food coloring in the water, and there's glass, the container, right? The food coloring goes into the water, it doesn't go into the glass. And when you pour it back out, the glass can be clear again when you clean it a little bit. And that's what we're dealing with, is that you become a medium for the message. And yeah, so, and where I'm at is I'm getting ready to start doing readings, building up my readings for, I'm thinking of doing Facebook groups. I'm thinking of doing a bunch of different things where it's like I'm more focusing on developing, and I'm approaching it as a student. Okay, and when you do that, you're going to learn something. And I think that's the whole thing. I think as long as you adopt a personality of always wanting to learn and always wanting to look at things differently, then you're going to keep growing and you're going to keep expanding. But for me to think that my way is better than anyone else's way, when I don't know myself, that limits my way of thinking. And on my way to becoming a medium, that was the one thing that stood in my way, was a sense of arrogance and pride in thinking, I already know how to do it. Which I didn't, but thinking in a way that it's like, I know how to do this. All I got to do is focus, or I got to do this, or I got to do that. I know how to do this. No one's going to tell me what to do. And in the spiritual realm, that's where we come into a lot of problems, is that there's an ego, but there's a spiritual ego, and that creates a lot of conflict, a lot of disharmony in the self. And I feel like we're getting better with it, but ultimately the spiritual movement is meant to lift people up and not leave people feeling less than anyone else. I don't care if you have 500 titles. I don't care if you're a Reiki master, a doctor, whatever it happens to be, and you can go on and on and on. It's great, but ultimately the titles don't mean anything. What really means something is how dedicated you are to helping other people lead better lives. That to me is the most important thing. You could have no title, or you could have 500. It doesn't impress me either way. What I want to know is, does your soul want to help people? Is that where we're focusing, is on a soul development? Because that's what takes real heart. That's what takes real courage, is to dig deep in there, find that kernel of truth within you, and realize that you can do this work, and realize that you'd be happy doing it. Even though there's going to be hard times, of course. But ultimately, it's a joyous journey, if not difficult. But yeah, so that will be our video, you guys. And I hope you have an amazing day. And I love you guys. I want you to take care. Be extra kind and careful with yourselves. Okay, I don't know what that means, to be extra careful with yourself, but just do it. Cover yourself in fragile wrapping tape stuff, and just make sure you don't run into anything really hard, because it hurts when you do that. Don't stub your toes. Don't blow your nose too hard. Things like that. Okay. So this is Mr. Mom going out. I hope you guys had a good time listening to this video, and I will try to be more concise in the future, but yeah. You guys take care, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.